And I'll tell you, the real story is the one that broke today. And that's that 5,400 emails. 5,400 emails have now been discovered by the National Archives. They were gotten through the Freedom of Information Act, and they all belong to Joe Biden. And apparently, these were the email addresses that he was using, different pseudonyms like Robert Ware and Robert L. Peters, to communicate with people, including Hunter Biden. Now, if you look at the headlines in the Daily Mail, what they will tell you is that like all 5,400 were going to Hunter Biden. I have yet to verify that, so I want to be careful on that information. But I think it's worth knowing here that these electronic records, some 5,400 of them, including emails and documents, suggest that President Biden used different pseudonyms while he was Obama's vice president. The existence of the emails, as I was saying, they came about because somebody filed that Freedom of Information Act back in June of 2022. You got Robert Ware, W-A-R-E. You got Robert L. Peters, J.R.B. Ware. They are all pseudonyms for when he was vice president. And this is, well, just a little concerning. The sheer volume, as the article states, raises lots of questions over whether then VP Biden broke the, quote, absolute wall he said he maintained between the personal and the private in government. Emails from Hunter's laptop also reveal business partners referring to Biden as the big guy. And let's not forget, okay, as soon as he becomes vice president, what does Hunter do but go and set up 20 different LLCs, lots of different LLCs, which made tons of money. You're talking millions of dollars that were coming into these accounts. NBC News reporting that Hunter Biden got $11 million just from Ukraine between 2013 and 2018 and spent it just as fast as he got it. I mean, they were conducting an investigation because of some unseemly, well, there was the tax thing, but actually they originally stumbled across Hunter Biden and his problems. When I say they, I mean the IRS and the FBI because of some international amateur porn ring. We haven't heard as much about that. I hope not to, frankly, but that's originally why they were onto him. And then he gets all this money. And his banks, including 6 major U.S. banks, we're talking big ones like Bank of America and J.P. Morgan, they're like, whoa, because they have all these rules, right? Like you have to know your customer, and when money's coming in from overseas, like everybody asks questions. And so now they're like, what is going on? And they issue what's called a suspicious activity report. To get that is like sort of rare. I'm going to let James Comer explain this because he used to be on the board of a bank and he went and sat down with Ted Cruz recently. He talked about the 170 SARS reports that were filed in relation to all these Biden LLCs. And he's like, listen, this is weird. Like, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because banks don't want to have to go there. Because once you do that, you're filing it with Treasury, and Treasury Department's like, whoa, wait a second. What kind of bank are you with customers like that? Anyway, here we go. Here's Representative Comer speaking recently with Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz, on his podcast.
Two over the course of 10 years.
And how many were issued concerning Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and the Biden family?
Over 170. They were direct.
Wait, you were at a bank and they issued 2 in 10
how many years?
If you had 2 SARs, they're called SARs in the banking industry. If you had 2 SARs against you, it would be hard for you to open an account somewhere. There wouldn't be any bank that would want to have you as a customer because it's not worth the paperwork. Remember, when the bank files one of these, you could understand this, appreciate this, Senator. That's inviting the regulators to come in and regulate. Okay, that's the last thing the banks want.
So 170 get filed. That means that somebody's getting a deposit in their account. It's a big amount. It's from somewhere suspicious. I mean, what triggers it? Why? You're a banker. What is it that makes you say we got to file a SAR?
A large transaction that comes out of the blue.
So and what's large? So, what is there a threshold?
You had I'll use the Robinson Walker account because we subpoenaed. That was the first bank account we subpoenaed.
Now, who's Robinson Walker?
One of the LLCs.
Rob Walker was one of the associates that they used to funnel money from China and Romania and then down and launder it down to the Biden.
So he's a.
Whoa, you got that? Okay, so they get all these accounts. Rob Walker was one of them. Robinson Walker, one of the LLCs. And the money's going here, there, and everywhere. And the banks are like, whoa, what's going on? So then they filed these suspicious activity reports. And as you heard Mr. Comer say, like, it's unheard of, like 170, like bizarre. Not to mention that Hunter Biden wasn't even paying his taxes on any of this money. I mean, think of how brazen that is. I mean, not only is he doing the illegal foreign lobbying, perhaps in conjunction with his dad, that's what we're trying to figure out. 5,400 emails now that we can look at. Not only is he doing, he's actually just thumbing his nose at the IRS while his dad's out there saying everybody's going to pay more taxes. Hunter's making millions and pays nothing. Go figure. Anyway, here's his business partner who sat down recently with Tucker Carlson. And Devin Archer said, well, he explained it. They were in the business of selling one thing, and that was Biden.
You got to be an expert in knowing the guy, and he was the guy that was the expert in knowing the guy.
He was an expert in knowing the guy.
Right.
And who was the guy he knew?
Well, he knew a lot of people, but obviously there was some familiar, his brother, his father, some of his father's siblings. So he knew a lot of people. And obviously I know you're pointing to, the father being the key relationship.
Yeah, you think. So if Hunter's the guy who knows the guy is the big guy, right? In the Oval Office that can pull some strings for all these countries all around the world that need the help of the United States of America. Well, in the case of Ukraine, you had a situation where there was this kind of shady energy company called Burisma, you know it well now, and they needed to go out and find somebody to help shepherd them along with their various things that they wanted to do, and I guess keep the Ukrainian prosecutor, that would have been Viktor Shokin, who's now come out and made some really bombshell allegations saying this was all bribery, that Burisma bribed Hunter to get his dad to do this. Now watch, because in this particular moment, Joe Biden admits the power that he had and could exercise over Ukraine, omitting, of course, the fact that Burisma had hired his son to the tune of $83,000 a month, as well as Devin, another $83,000 a month, and that Burisma wanted to make sure that this particular prosecutor was fired because they wanted that prosecutor off their back. Watch.
I was, not but it just happened to be, that was the assignment I got. I got all the good ones. So I got Ukraine. And I remember going over, convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I'm not going to, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a got fired.
Okay. And you know the guy he's talking about, the prosecutor, is the Viktor Shokin guy. I've played his sound several times for you. He is now alleging that he was fired because he happened to be investigating the money that was being exchanged between none other than Hunter Biden and Burisma. So, wow, I think there's a little something more to learn here. Hey everyone, Trish Regan here. If you enjoyed that clip, please do me the favor of subscribing to the channel. Just hit that little subscribe button right over there. Did I do that right? Not quite, but you know where it is. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so that you get the alerts, and I'll see you back on the show.